Hello, everybody, and welcome along to our watch along, the last one for the day. A double header in that match: England up against Pakistan, as well as Australia playing up against Bangladesh, who are just playing to remain in the top eight and hopefully make it to Pakistan in 2025 for the Champions Trophy. My name is Naledi Apani. I am with Tandeka Dube. And, I just realized that in the morning we didn't touch on this, on what happened in Sri Lanka. The ICC banning Sri Lanka from cricket activities basically because of the interference of the government. If you remember very well, one of the Sri Lankan players stand out, against that Bangladesh team that played the other day. And now that seemed to have sparked a lot of controversies and talks. And obviously now the government just feeling like Sri Lanka has had a bad tournament and they felt they need to just want to interfere into the business of cricket in that we know that in our countries or wherever you may be watching from, that sports matters are not to be interfered by with the officials of the government or anyone in the higher positions except for those within the sport. So they said that we are banning you from all cricket activities till further notice. So we'll see how long that one is. But yeah, just the government feeling like just because we had a bad tournament, then we can remove the people who are in power and bring in the people that we think are going to be able to just carry this Sri Lankan team to the next round, of which I think it's so unfair because those people were hired because they know what they have to do. And I don't think, and I don't believe, I'm not a believer in that a team has to do well, immediately. If we are building a solid team, it will take years of building. You're lucky if it doesn't take that long. But I feel like Sri Lanka were really just building something very special in that team, especially when you were looking at the wicket takers in this tournament, Madhushanka, one of the Sri Lankan players. He was just overtaken, but he's been the first on that table in the top 10 as a leading wicket taker. Now, when you've got such news coming in, when you're building such a solid team, I feel like it stabilizes the entire team as a whole and affects them.
And also, if it's the same technical squad which told Zim for the qualifiers, I feel it's one of those, they deserve to be here in the World Cup. Yes, they know what they're on the ground, really. They know what's happening, the type of pressure the players are facing, and the type of movement around the ground. Unlike in the government, they're just watching the game through the screens or TV online. There are very few who might have maybe traveled to watch the game, but it's the game you see from the terraces is different from the one you actually like feel when you're on the ground, because you know what's really happening. You understand the feeling of the players. I think that's the other thing which made me like motivated to kind of play the game a bit, so that I understand where they're coming from, why they perform the way they are. Because the moment when I used to play, it was one of those, catching that ball, it would be flying and it's painful. So those Millsfields, we used to scream and be like, guys, just catch the ball. Or why is the team failing? But the fact that you're on the ground experiencing what was going on, you definitely understand. But whereas if you're just watching it from your comfortable couch or wherever the sports bars, you won't understand what's going on. So really, I feel it's one of those things ICC they really needed to do, in the sense that if they had that kind of controversy going forward, it was just going to disturb the team, in the sense that moving forward they'll still have so many problems. But their way was saying, you guys should just stay away, like be banned, sort out your issues within your country. Then, if the government really wants the team to represent them, they just need to step back and then let them be who they are. And the ones who have been fired, I don't think they really deserved it, because they have more experience compared to the new people who just come in based on the papers and say they're good coaches, but there's no track records.
And also, Coach Donald as well, he is the part of the coaching team for that. His contract will be expiring, and he says that he will not be renewing the contract. So if a coach says, I'd rather be jobless than work, because that's exactly what it means. If you're not renewing your contract, it says something. So we would assume that it says that he does not want to work in an environment like that one. And
Yeah.
also, I'm just looking for another name, the captain as well. No. Actually, they're saying this came after, the appeal made by Bangladesh over the weekend, last weekend. So for me, I feel like that's really so unsportsmanship like. You don't do
Yeah.
that because Bangladesh were just following rules, and then now it just became a whole of something else. But Pakistan were also going through the very same thing. Well, not same, but like similar things, because they were facing contractual issues. But look at the tournament that they've had.
Yeah.
They had the hopes of making it to the semifinals in the very last day of the group stages, and I think it will take a miracle at this point for them to just make it through. But it goes to show the strength and just the unity within the team, because when you're going through contractual issues, you don't know when you're getting paid, you don't know how much you're getting paid, but you still give your best like they did. I think they've been impressive, honestly, so far. So we'll see how that Champions Trophy goes in their country, but I think they've been really impressive for me as well.
It also brings down the fact that people should be professional when it comes to these things, handling the contracts and all. You never really bring such like governmental or contracts during the match or during the tournament, because that definitely is going to disturb the players' motivation or the attitude, really, the atmosphere. They'll be like, okay, so what's the point of playing if this is going to happen? Or if we're just going to be banned, like what happened to Sri Lanka? Or what about the individual players who managed to their milestones? So they don't really take that to consider that yes, as a squad they failed, but there are those individual people. It's not everyone who made that mistake. It was just one player, and the captain didn't really back him up. But the fact that only one person just ruined everything for everyone, all the problems behind the scenes, they're just going to be unleashed. That's not really a good thing, in the sense that they're now creating a bad name for their teammates. Because if ICC bans you, everyone will be like, okay, what's going on now? That bad idea or image is not going to be circulating, people creating bad energy or memes about the country, which is not something they would need going forward to the championship, really.
Which will really just give us a similar situation of Australia and Afghanistan, with Australia not wanting to play Afghanistan. So now teams will just now not want to be associated with Sri Lanka when it comes to tests, or really just anything at all whenever they play. So I think, politics one side, but coming back to today's match, Australia up against Bangladesh. Bangladesh set a total of 306. They had only lost 8 and 50 overs. And currently, Australia needs 23 runs in 48 balls to win. It's looking really good for Australia because their current run rate is 7.76, 6.76, and the required run rate is 2.88. So that means they are just skyrocketing. They're cruising nicely in this one. I mean, it's definitely going to be a comfortable win for Australia. Only losing 2 people throughout the entire match.
Imagine.
It screams a team that is ready for the semi-finals, honestly.
Oh yes, this is actually scary in the sense that we thought they all needed Glenn Maxwell. Technically, they can't. They don't really need him, because if they can do this by themselves, and it's not like Bangladesh is an easy team either way, because what I'm seeing here coming from Mitchell Marshall, it's like he has scored 166 runs of 123 balls. Inning is really solid right now. Another Glenn Maxwell might be coming. I feel he is really motivated because the overs are still there. They are on 42.1 currently, and that's a lot of time, unless there were a lot of drop catches here and there compared to the game we were watching, the England versus Pakistan, where Pakistan was just having loose hands. So it's quite interesting. And looking at the England game, this is amazing, especially coming from them. It actually reminds me of the joke which has been shared around us by us, saying that I'm sure England has been just picked up along the way from the airport, because this is just, I'm sure this is their highest score they've scored so far in this tournament. And they're currently on 336 of 7 wickets. in 49.3 overs. It's just the first innings, and they're already 336 runs.
Wow.
And it's like, I don't know, even if they said the pitch was a bowling friendly area, I feel these things, the pitch conditions don't really work anymore. The players have been just doing their own things right now.
They just seem to know what they're doing, you know. I'm also just looking at this Australian game, which is almost finished, before we come to Pakistan and England. How is, you know, because I'm just looking at this and I'm thinking, South Africa, you are next, because this is a team that's currently on form. This is a practice match for them in the semi-finals, losing only 2 wickets in like throughout the entire match. So now it's 291. So this means that Australia only needs 16 runs in 44 balls. They still have the time. They really just doing well. And also just speaking about that there is a man who is really just gunning for that you know, name for himself, Mitchell Marsh, you know, with 172 in 126 balls. Now this talks to me about the depth within that squad. Because you would think that David Werner, when you take David Werner out, you really have restricted the team from betting and getting as many runs as possible. But it's not the case. You also it just seems like there's different players who you would not expect for them to do as well. So teams now must just make a point that in the last remaining 4 matches, the semis and the finals, you study the entire team, because you'd say, okay, David Werner is the key player. You take David Werner out, somebody else comes and shocks you. Like Mitchell Marsh is doing right now and scoring those runs for the team. So I think there's just too much depth in this squad. And what would save South Africa in the semi-finals if they bet first? But because you see Australia, they know how to chase and they know how to chase. So I don't think South Africa would even want to chase against Australia at that point. Like you said, you made a very important point earlier on when you said that the reason why Quinton de Kock is not as effective when chasing is because he would have been out for a very long time throughout the match, and then it affects the momentum, it affects like just the ability to play. So I think South Africa,
I'm sure they are watching and saying, okay, this is going to be interesting playing against these guys. And they're already eyeing on the top 3 now. And also, I'm just comparing the Bangladesh partnership with the Australian one. It's like, oh my goodness, the difference is like Bangladesh, they tried when it was Linton does, like the openers, they had their highest scores where they had 76 of 69 balls. Then the rest, it was just a struggle here and there. I'm sure that's when they were just being taken out quickly. But here, I'm sure Bangladesh celebrated when they managed to remove Warner and the top 2 guys, in the sense that they managed to break that partnership. The first one, it was 12 of 17. Then David Warner managed to meet up with Marshall now. That's when they scored their 120 runs of 116 balls. That's when they started building that solid partnership, putting those runs right there. And it's not simple ones, because we know they love hitting that ball, and the boundaries were just spectacular. And then David Warner came out. Marshall had another partner now, where they are currently still betting together. Currently, they are 161 of 125 balls. So it's still continuing, and so far so good. Seems like they're actually enjoying this game and they wouldn't want it to stop. So meaning, if it continues like this, really, they would have won by 8 wickets, and those are the points Bangladesh will literally need to go up the ranking.
Oh goodness. How sway. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now coming back to the match that's currently at the break. England, like you said, it seems like they're coming to the party on the last 2 matches. We've seen them doing it last week. In the last encounter, they're doing it again in this encounter against Pakistan. Pakistan will have to score 338 runs to win that match, and I think that's, even if they do that, even if they like successfully chase that, it doesn't change the fact that New Zealand remain in the top 4. So there are chances of making it to the semi-finals. England have made it impossible for them to just make it through to the next round, and Baba Azam will just be so disappointed in that one. But there is a lot of chasing to be done, and I think it's going to be interesting to see just how they will go into that match and just do what they have to do. You know, especially because I believe that when your score is this high, and you're also just thinking about the position that you would have occupied, had things really just went your way. But also this just speaks about the bowling department of Pakistan, that it really wasn't the best in this match, because you really let England score those many. I feel like they had a chance to bowl them out. They really had a chance to bowl them out.
Yeah, and also I'm just seeing how 300 is now becoming the new normal, considering how we're like Bangladesh should be safe setting a 306 match, and here Australia is just doing it so easily with just 2 wickets only. So now for Pakistan, on the other hand, I don't know if they will manage to get there. Like what you're saying, it's just going to be a long or a short one. Who knows what England has been cooking up for lately? But it's just going to be a hard one. And even if they win, it's not going to change much. So I'm sure the New Zealand guys, wherever they are, they're already dancing and celebrating. But semi-finals here where it comes, as much as they'll be facing India. I don't know how that one will go.
I mean, they really just want to make it clear that you can't beat us twice in the same tournament. I believe that if a team beats you in the first round of the tournament, in the second round, surely you would have done your homework and seen where you went wrong. But India just seemed to be this unbeatable, unplayable team that just knows how to set the score, how to chase. It's like the quality within that squad, you really wouldn't know how you would restrict them.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't know how to restrict India. So I think it's going to be a tricky one for New Zealand, honestly.
And what are your thoughts for the SA1? Since you are saying that statement, and SA1 against Aussies, so do you think to be an interesting one as well to watch?
I think it's going to be an interesting one, and I think that game will be won at the toss. Because we know that you see now Australia really have proven that they're good at chasing. They did it twice back to back.
Yeah.
They did it in the last encounter where Glenn Maxwell just produced a master class of a performance. They're doing it again today against Bangladesh, also just chasing that score like it's nothing. So South Africa, we know that they usually just make it 350 plus, 380, 399 sometimes. So I think they need to set a score that they set in the first match of the encounter against Sri Lanka, which was 438. I think there they would just be safe. But remember that Australia also scored 401. So I think it's really just going to be an interesting match.
The clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans, and whoever that wins that one will be deserving to go to the finals. They would have ended their spots in the final.
Yeah.
But honestly, South Africa, I'm not too sure how that one is going to go. They must just hope that Glenn Maxwell won't be back, because if he's back, oh my gosh!
Imagine the combination of him with these guys who are already in.
Oh.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't want to see that. I'm sure South Africa really wouldn't want to see that. But let's come back to the Pakistan game. I'm just looking at England and how they played. There really isn't anyone that scored like 100, a century, but there is a man, Joe Root actually came to the party today, scored half a century, 60 of 72 balls. We've got Ben Stokes, who also did really, really, really well, scoring 84 runs of 76 balls. Josh Butler, captain, not so much, with 27 of 18 balls. So Darwin Milan as well, 31 of 39 balls. So I'm not sure if that was just enough, but it seems like it was enough because of the score, I guess. But I guess they would have just wanted to score as many as they would have. I think they did. They have accomplished that. As things look, I think it's really just game over for Pakistan.
Yeah, it is. Because even if you say, like what you're saying, no one has a century here. But those small units just contributed. The runs everyone did today just made it possible for them. But the extras, I'm sure those are the other things which really are going to cause problems, in the sense that they also contributed on England's stats as well. So I don't know.
Or those stats that speak about key players and milestones. And let's see who from England really just, So Josh Butler needed 66 to make it for 5,000 runs. Josh Butler has, where is he? He has 27. Just missing that chance to make it, 5,000 runs. And we also have Ben Stokes. Well, he needed a huge margin of 444, to just win that one for 11,000. It really wasn't the case. So it seems like they really would. I feel like they won they won the right match. However, just picking at a very wrong time of the tournament, it would seem to me. We're also looking at Besto as well, 59 goals, 59 runs of 61 goals, of 61 runs. So it's super interesting how they played this one for me.
And also check out Joe Root. He just needed 1-6 to reach his 56s, and of which today it seems like it was a mission impossible. He had a good stats, but it was mostly the fours and the singles. He didn't even have that single six from him.
And that just would have, make him have the tournament of his life. That would have been so perfect for him. But coming to Pakistan, though, I just think that there is a lot to play for. However, not the top 4 spots, but just to bow out gracefully of the tournament. I'm very interested to see how Baba Azam is going to bet in that one. Very interesting to see how Faka Azam will also just come into that match. I feel like they do have the squad, but I just don't know if they will be able to chase that score that seems to be so high set by England.
Hopefully they just won't be intimidated by it, because the moment if you just look at the score, you just create your own scoreboard pressure, and of which at times it's not really necessary, in the sense that if you just pace yourself, set those small targets which you can achieve, you realize, okay, I'm almost getting there, slowly but surely. But if you just look at it as a whole picture, then definitely it's going to choke you and you'll be in trouble. You make more mistakes that way.
And I mean, today really just marks the second last day of group stages. And it's been quite an interesting ride. I feel like there's teams that really should have been in the top 4, but it wasn't the case. And I believe that everybody that is in the top 4 honestly has worked so hard for that. Tomorrow, we have India up against Netherlands. We've already spoken that this one is just going to be a walkover, for India. I mean, but just think about this, though.
Yeah.
Just think about this. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but just think about this. You've got a team so on form like India, and I believe that tomorrow they would just want to rest their key players for the semifinals. However, let's say they don't rest their key players. They don't play your Virat, your Rohit, all the key players against a team like Netherlands, and Netherlands coming into that match to just Hassan upset and just defeat them. Like, do you think that really could be a possible thing? I'm just thinking if that happens, then they will just be brought down to earth. But then that means it's really just going to go down in the semifinals. And oh man, they're just going to bleed on New Zealand in the semifinals if it happens like that.
I'm just trying to imagine it. You're saying if they're to remove all the key players, like put them to rest. Well, I just believe everyone in that team is just as equally strong. The other ones, the other guys, they just have less experience in terms of this tournament experience, in the sense that they don't really know how much pressure it is. But this is Netherlands, really. It's not so much, but it can be sneaky. So it's one of those, you just need to be careful. But for those guys, I don't know where they've been training, or it's the altitude or ground level where they're training, but it seems like every time they play against all these other countries outside the Asia side, they know how to play. Where if either spinners, seamers, they just be like, okay, we'll take it slow for now. Then we just, if you give the ball which is juicy enough for me to play it, they'll definitely hit those boundaries. So it's like somehow they know they just play the basic cricket in the sense that you just need to time for the ball. They're never in a rush. They're just calm, and then they just play their game. Unlike some of us, okay, some of the players, you be in a rush to finish and be like, you know what, there's the ball, it's coming. Then you just close your eyes. You want to start hitting it all over, of which that's not the game really. Because if you do it that way, that means you won't survive because you're panicking because you're now playing the name. But you won't be knowing, okay, is everyone in that list going to play? You don't know the squad yet. So it's now up to the captains at the end of the day. Before the toss, I mean, after the toss, they swap the team list. Now he needs to strategize and be like, you know what, guys, these are the people we're going to face. We know their strengths and weaknesses. Let's just go out there and have fun.
But I mean, even if they do that, like you say, India has the squad, whether you play the key players or not, everybody's just so capable. And I'll keep going back to Mohamed Shami. That man was given a chance and he ran with it. You know, and I believe that by the end of this tournament, he's going to be in the top 5, if not the top 3 of the leading top bowlers in this one. Now we've spoken about how interesting the tournament has been, how great the tournament has been. What do you think has been your favorite moments in this tournament? Or your favorite match, a game that you felt this is the game that I would want to talk about even in years to come?
Wow. This one, okay, you have just put me in the spotlight. I would say the one which I managed to watch live because I had all the time to watch it and experience what the fans were experiencing, the Bangladesh versus Sri Lanka, in the sense that I was on the ground. I understood what the fans were seeing, how the atmosphere was like. That's one experience which I'll never forget. And also the way Bangladesh played their game really impressed me because everyone thought Sri Lanka was going to win that one. And everything just turned into something good. As much as everyone would enjoy the India games, all of them against Sri Lanka, that one being the shortest game ever, because literally they managed to take each other out in a shorter time. But in terms of the experience wise and how the players were playing outside the Bangladesh Sri Lanka one, as much as it's a drama. So I guess I love the drama part.
So you're all for drama.
Oh, yes. Okay. And how about you?
For me, I'm thinking that Afghanistan, I'm going to talk about that match for years to come. What Glenn Maxwell did is nothing I've seen in cricket ever. I feel like for me, you know, even David Brooks had to go back to 40 years ago thinking of a performance that was being put in a World Cup. So imagine that we've gotten a chance to actually just watch the masterclass of Glenn Maxwell just single-handedly taking the team to the semi-finals. I remember very well that when we left the studio, the score was 91 or 97 or 7.
Yeah.
We thought they were going to be both out because wickets were just flowing, wickets after wicket after wicket after wicket. And Australia is losing points at a very long time of the tournament. But man, when we got home and we switched on the TV and saw what Glenn Maxwell was doing, for me, that is the match of the tournament. I think maybe we'll see how the team says semi-finals and final are going to go. But as far as I've watched the group stage, that one remains my top game of the tournament.
And I'm sure it really took your attention and be like, okay, this is what we are talking about here.
And I feel like Glenn Maxwell from here, you know, especially after the performance, he's just going up and up and up. Like David was saying, that this is not a player that was consistently selected for the squad. Now, when you pull such a performance, you just need to walk on water now. When it comes to the squad, you must be there because everybody has seen your capabilities when it matters most. So for me, oh my goodness.
But for me, somehow, I think not the problem per se, but the moment you set that high standard for yourself, saying I'm able to hit those 200 plus runs by myself, everyone will expect you like to start maintaining that kind of performance. Somehow you just create yourself that kind of pressure. Unlike, for example, the way Quinton de Kock has been doing of lately. He knows, okay, I've been giving out the centuries, right? but he makes sure that every match he tries his best to make sure that he hits those centuries, and that means he's setting his standards. But the moment you just put your standards up there and you're never consistent, you'll be just remembered for this moment only, or maybe it's a good thing that he's sitting out, because if he came back again to play today's game and he comes out with a 0, people will be like, okay, that was a luck or fluke.
But which pressure, like I think I would prefer that pressure, just knowing that I set that standard for myself, and obviously each match you just want to match it up or even just go above it. Now just imagine what Themba Bavuma is currently going through. You're the captain of the team now. That we're talking about pressure. You need to perform, right? You need to have something to write home about. But he can't even say I have 50 runs in the 2023 World Cup. So Glenn Maxwell, yes, set a very high standard for himself. People will talk about that moment for ages to come, and they will always compare to that moment. But I'd rather people compare me to, myself at my peak than at my failing stages. You understand? So I feel like, honestly,
you'll be fine.
He'll be fine. We'll just try to just continue to match up that it's a very high standard. But he will just have to, just deal with that.
Definitely. And also consider, like what you're talking about, Themba right now, the way he was just struggling to score those runs. And I read somewhere that the reason why he was struggling the last game, I think it was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
To run in between the crease, it was because he had put his hamstring. So others will be saying, okay, he managed to get injured right now when the team really needs him for the semifinals.
Yeah.
So will he manage to play the semifinals, or is just going to sit out and let someone else be captain? So,
but I think as a selfless leader, that's what you do, especially if you know that I haven't been performing at my best. Yes, with the hamstring injury right now, he has to make somebody else captain, and hopefully that person will just, perform well. Open up. And I still think that South Africa needs to rethink that opening partnership of Themba Bavuma and Quinton de Kock. It never seems to work, especially when they come and chase him. Even betting as well. I think it's a problem for Themba to remain in the field for a very long time.
Yeah, creating that opportunity for Quinton. But now I'm just trying to think, who could they replace him with? Who can open and save the team? Because I was thinking of Andy Lepetluwa, but I'm just seeing the type of person he is. He's more of like a bowling player. Bowling batsman. So he's okay where he is currently, where it's in the middle, like being the anchor. But opening right there, I don't know who to put.
Maybe with David Miller.
Okay.
Or Aiden Markham. I don't know. I just feel like that could work. These are the two people who really could give you a fire partnership, that produces over 200 even. When they're in the mood to play the game, they just know how to score the matches. So, and just in wrapping things up, man, who's been your favorite player in the tournament so far?
Players.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got, from the betting side, I would say Quinton, our neighbors. Quinton de Kock, I would say Rohit Sharma, the way he just loves hitting those boundaries. I'm that one person who loves actions. So the more boundaries I see, I just get excited and intrigued with that game already. The superstar, Virat Kohli. And who else? Okay, let me think about. Yeah, that's 3. Then on the bowling side, I just love the kids. The way they've just been doing so well, like the one from Sri Lanka, what's Matushanka? Yes. And then the one from, let's just say, the all under 25 players. They've been impressive. They've been just doing wonders and showing us there's so much talent out there, and people can invest on them. So with more investment in terms of grooming and nurturing around them, they can definitely come out with world-class players.
Yeah.
And what would you say?
I think for me, I think I'm going to call myself Glenn Maxwell's son. Because after that performance that he pulled against Afghanistan, he just went top of my list of, betters. the tournament so far. Like I said, I've never seen something like this being done in cricket before. David Brooks had to go 40 years behind to just remind himself if something like this has been done before. So I would say Glenn Maxwell, Quinton de Kock. I think what a way to bow out of the World Cup, of international duties. I think he's done really well. I would love to see in the semi-final a century from him, and then we'll see how that one goes. Bowling, I think I was impressed by, Andy Lepeslubai, although he only played like 2 matches. But this is a man that really just knows how to bowl so well. He knows how to get those wickets as well. How dare I not mention Mohammed Shami? He played less games than everybody else, but he's just within the top 5 of the wicket takers or the bowlers really. Mohammed Shami, a favorite of mine, and Madhushanka, I would have loved to just see him finish number 1 with those wickets on the table. However, there seem to be a new kid on the block. But he's done really well for Sri Lanka. So I would say those are my favorite. Have been my favorite players for this tournament so far.
And who do you think will be the top batsman in the series? Like,
I think
assumptions.
I think it's gonna be Quinton de Kock.
Okay. Okay, so it's either Quinton de Kock or who? Let me quickly check.
We forget Rashid Rakitsma.
That's why I ended up saying the under 25, because I know he's 23, 24 around there. Exactly.
Rashid Rakitsma is also a man to look out for. The semi-final, he'll just want to also just assume with where he left off really. So this is where we're wrapping it up for today. We do have the last match of the group stage tomorrow. It is India who will be taking on Netherlands, and I think it's going to be an interesting match. Just considering how well India has been playing, but will they be able to still contain that momentum of being the only unbeaten team in the World Cup? Not only that, they are hosting this World Cup. The last time they hosted in 2011, they lifted this one. Are they going to be doing it again? Just lifting the 2023 Cricket World Cup in their home soil. We will find out in about 3 matches to come. So thank you for tuning in